Good morning, folks. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels, and a happy stupid o'clock in the morning to everyone. So, we are covering again that place of horrors known as the JRC. As always, you will find the link to this article in the description, as well as other pertinent information to this case, who to follow, and what you can do. So, folks, please don't forget to hit the description box. Also, if you have young children present, trigger warning. When we are talking about the JRC, we are usually speaking with very graphic descriptions of and sometimes clips of video footage of people with disabilities being abused and tortured. If you have young ones present, please use your headphones. Also, as previous stated, it's stupid o'clock in the morning. If I stumble over any words mispronounced, whatever, I ask for your apologies in advance. So, folks, I wanted to find if there was any kind of major news coverage at all of any kind that was getting out about this. And this popped up from the bostonglobe.com. So, a lot of this article is going to be a little bit of rehashing, but I wanted to see how another mainstream outlet, especially one out of the Boston area, was how they were going to do their take on this. So, without further ado, court decision allows Canton School to continue using electric shocks on residents with intellectual disabilities. So, this came out last week, by the way, when the news went out. Federal Appeals Court overturns FDA ban on the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center's shock devices by Naomi Martin. A federal appeals court in Washington, D.C. this week overturned the U.S. Food and Drug Administration's ban on electric shock devices created and used by a Canton residential school for children and adults who are intellectually disabled. The 2-1 decision issued Tuesday allows the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center to continue using the controversial devices on residents. The center is now the sole facility in the country that uses electric shocks to modify behavior in patients with disabilities, according to court records. That is for right now. So, folks, they like to highlight this over and over again, almost as a sense to calm people down. But the fact of the matter is, Matthew Israel has stated several times in the past, and especially since this victory, that he would like to spread out these devices to other schools to use not only on autistic kids, but kids with ADHD and other various different types of disability. So, word has gone out. It's getting to be a scary place for people with disabilities right now. The center's attorney, Michael Flamia, and Rotenberg leaders are pleased with the ruling. Of course they are. They want to continue to torture the kids, which allows workers at the facility to continue delivering electric shocks to a portion of adult residents to correct aggressive or self-injurious behavior. You know, when they refuse to take off their coats or blink too much or stand up without being given permission, when other alternatives fail. Like, telling someone to sit down and instead shocking the hell out of them, apparently. The Rotenberg Center continued administering shocks to about 55 of its 300 residents throughout the pandemic, under a stay of the FDA's 2020 ban, he said, which is why this all started in April, if you remember. But disability advocates say the shocks are barbaric forms of torture. Everyone with a coherent brain calls it torture, Karen. That should be outlawed. Amen. Citing court records and former residents' accounts in new articles and court testimony reporting being shocked many times by accident or for minor, nonviolent infractions such as swearing, running away, or not following directions, allegations the center denies. For blinking too much, they can deny it all they want. We have seen the actual medical court mandated plans. Claim my ass. Sorry, you're all full of shit. we got the documents. The United Nations has also called the center's shock practices torture. Yet the UN doesn't tend to do that if they don't do their own investigations, Karen. I'm just saying. In the ruling, U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals Judge David Sintel and Gregory Katzis said the FDA lacked the authority to ban the devices for usage on people who are intellectually disabled and not other types of patients because the federal law limits the FDA from interfering with the practice of medicine. God. Then we might as well not have any medical regulations at all. Why not let a doctor decide if a person needs surgery on their heart when they came in due for a broken leg? Regulating medicine is the state's domain, they wrote, and Massachusetts has done so well. We wouldn't be going over Massachusetts state legislators' heads if they hadn't failed to protect those kids time and again. The FDA has no authority to choose what medical devices a practitioner should prescribe or administer for which conditions, the ruling said. Really? Why do they exist then? Why do the Food and Drug Administration exist if they do not have the right to say exactly that? But in a dissenting opinion, Judge Srinivasan disagreed, saying the FDA did have the legal authority to ban medical products for certain uses in the interest of patient safety. Thank you! In this case, the FDA conducted a years-long examination of the risks and benefits of the practice before deciding to ban them from being administered on patients who are intellectually disabled. Meanwhile, the FDA found the devices still could be acceptably used on smokers who controlled the shocking device on themselves. It's still messed up, really. The shocks can result in severe pain, skin burns, tissue damage, and psychological issues such as panic, anxiety, and post-traumatic disorder, he wrote. There's also the fact that in several cases there's been lack of sensation in the areas where people have been shocked repeatedly. It's hard to perceive why Congress would want to deny the agency that middle group option of allowing a device to remain on the market for one use but not another, Srinivasan wrote. The Rotenberg Center says shocks only are administered from approval from the patient's family and a local judge because our families always know what's best for us, right, disabled boys and girls? It's not like they've never exploited us, beat us, stuck us in homes, and took our freaking Social Security checks. Oh, wait, there's several articles of that having happened. This idea these idiots have that these families, these carers, always have our best interests at heart and that we are not capable of making our own decisions is so backwards full of bullshit, I don't even know where to begin. And the fact that a state like freaking Missouri seems to understand that and implements person-centered planning just because of that, and you all so-called progressive East Coast states can't seem to figure it out, I don't even know what to tell you. When Hicksville, USA, the land of the rednecks, is more progressive than you when it comes to treatment, just saying. The Rotenberg Center says shocks only are administered during approval of the patient's family and a local judge. Because, yeah, like I said, we always know that they have the best intentions, right? The center says the treatment is necessary to prevent people from behaviors such as punching themselves or banging their heads into the wall, risking brain injury, broken bones, or blindness. Well, see, that's what they do. They create this bleak situation, Judge Rotenberg Center does. ABA does it too. Whether it is one or the other, either you're drugged up to the point of non-coherence or we have to torture you. They never give you a middle ground. They never tell you that there are other options out there besides drugging us up to our gills or shocking and torturing the hell out of us. There are other options. The most logical one is what is behind them punching or banging their heads or or causing ourselves blindness. These behaviors don't just come out of nowhere. There's always a triggering agent. Cause and effect. Find the cause that is causing the effect, and you are actually doing more than just trying to treat the symptoms by further injuring someone who has already injured themselves. But, anyways, I digress here. Some patients who were logged injuring themselves 400 times a month have responded to the treatment so well that they experienced just a few incidents a month afterwards, Lamia said. What they don't tell you, though, is as soon as these kids are taking off the devices, guess what? Those issues return because they are not addressing the root problem. You're taking someone who's self injuring themselves, traumatizing them to the point of shock, calling that success, and then removing it, those behaviors returning now that they're no longer under fear of punishment, and say, see, this is why they need it. No, Karen, that means your treatment is bullshit. That's what it means. If that shock device is so wonderful, then why is it after they're taking off of it, those aggressive behaviors you're so called treating come back at the same intensity that they were before they had been put on the device? It is absolutely pointless. There is no point to torturing these kids when the so called treatment does nothing but further harm. But moving on. With the treatment, these residents can continue to participate in enriching experiences, my ass. Do you have any idea how much sensory deprivation that being shocked that many times can cause? Especially in a place where it causes skin burn? Enjoy visits with their families. Oh yeah, I'm gonna enjoy visiting with the family that signed me up for torture. Yeah, sure. All right, Karen. Most importantly, live safely and freedom from self injuries and aggressive behaviors, but not freedom or safety from you, you sick fucks, the center said in a statement. But Shane Nuremar, a Springfield attorney who has represented 4 center residents, said the shocks are used as a painful punishment on people who have no say in the matter, and their families often are not fully informed about the severity, frequency, or duration of the shocks people receive and their lack of effectiveness. Thank you. State legislators need to end funding if the court system is unwilling to put an end to this barbaric practice, Nehemiah said. The Judge Rotenberg Educational Center Parents Association issued a statement praising the court's decision. We will have and will continue to fight to keep our loved ones safe and alive and retain access to this life-saving treatment of last resort, the association said. But it's not used as a last resort, boys and girls. Remember, Andre McCollins was shocked horrifically over 31 times. First of all, for refusing to remove his coat. Second off, for tensing up as an action that happened after the first shock. Subsequent shocks for the tense up and the screaming for it to stop. Sound like aggressive or self-injurious behavior to you? Advocates for the people with disabilities condemn the decision. The ruling opens the door for continued torture of largely black and brown disabled people in the name of treatment, said Lydia Brown, Director of Policy, Advocacy, and External Affairs for the Autistic Women and Non-Binary Network. The FDA must reissue a ban on all devices used to inflict painful electric shock on others. Amen. The center said half the patients receiving shocks are white. What does that have to do, if anything? Your whole main population, 87%, are people who are of minorities. Sit down, Karen. There are alternative methods for behavioral supports for people with disabilities and other needs that do not exclude excessive force, pain, and fear, said Leo Scarzum, Executive Director of the ARC of Massachusetts, an advocacy group for people with intellectual disabilities. Thank you. So, there you have it, folks. That's some of the coverage from one of the outlets that are actually in the area that's also known on a more national stage. I would rant more, but I've got more videos to do this morning, so I'm going to go ahead and close out here. I do appreciate your time this morning, folks. Don't forget to hit that description box. Also, please don't forget to hit the comments, hit the like button, and hit subscribe. I do appreciate your time, and I will be seeing you in the next video. Thank you.